The concept of core competence was first introduced by C.K. Prahalad and Gary Hamel in 1990, in their article The Core Competence of the Corporation, published in the Harvard Business Review. Since then, this term has become part of the general business vernacular. Organizations constantly claim various things to be part of their core competencies. But, are these truly core competencies? Then begs the question, how do we determine if something qualifies as a core competence? Perhaps most importantly, how do we develop core competencies for our organization? To address these questions, let's introduce the core competence model. This is a strategy framework that starts the strategy process by thinking about the core strengths of an organization. Whereas the traditional outside-in approach, such as Porter's 5 forces and the BCG matrix, places the market, competition, and customer at the starting point of the strategy process, the core competence model does the opposite. It states that in the long run, competitiveness derives from an ability to build a core competence at lower cost and more quickly than competitors. A core competence can be any combination of specific, inherent, integrated, and applied knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Leveraging our core competence may result in the creation of unanticipated products and services. For the core competence model, a core competence is comprised of 4 dimensions: skills and knowledge base, technical systems, managerial systems, and, lastly, values and norms. These are illustrated on the slide. Let's define each one by one. The first dimension, knowledge and skills embodied in people, is the one most often associated with core, distinctive capabilities and the one most evidently relevant to new product development. This dimension encompasses both organization-specific techniques and scientific understanding. The second dimension is technical systems. Knowledge that has been embedded in technical systems results from years of accumulating, codifying, and structuring the tacit knowledge in people's heads. Such physical production or information systems represent compilations of knowledge, usually derived from multiple individual sources. Therefore, the whole technical system is greater than the sum of its parts. This knowledge constitutes both information and procedures. The third dimension, managerial systems, represents formal and informal ways of creating knowledge, such as via sabbaticals, apprenticeship programs or networks with partners, and of controlling knowledge, such as incentive systems and reporting structures. Infused through the 3 aforementioned dimensions is the last dimension, values and norms. This represents the value assigned within the company to the content and structure of knowledge, for instance computer engineering versus marketing expertise, or open source software versus proprietary systems. Means of collecting knowledge, such as formal degrees versus experience, and controlling knowledge, such as individual empowerment versus management hierarchies. Be aware that even physical systems embody values. According to Prahalad and Hamel, core competencies can be identified and clarified following a 3-step process. The first step is to articulate our strategic intent. The strategic intent is our organization's vision of what we want to achieve in the long term. A strategic intent must have the following 4 components: sense of direction, emotional element, sense of discovery, and lastly, a sense of destiny. The second step in the process is to identify core competencies. There are 3 tests for identifying a core competence. First, the core competence must provide potential access to a wide variety of markets. Second, it must make a significant contribution to the benefits of the product as perceived by the customer. Lastly, a core competence should be difficult for competitors to imitate. The final step is to enhance core competencies. After we have identified our core competencies, we need to enhance them by redesigning the architecture of our organization. For instance, we should invest in required technologies that support and strengthen the competency. Another example is we can develop strategic partnerships that further nurture this core competence. Once we clarify our core competencies, our whole organization will know how to support our competitive advantage. We will then have clarity and direction as to how to allocate resources appropriately. One final caveat: care must be taken not to let core competencies develop into core rigidities. A core competence is difficult to learn, but is difficult to unlearn as well. Thus, a core rigidity is caused by over-reliance on any core competence for too long, even after its competitive advantage has turned obsolete. So, what do you believe are the core competencies of your organization? leave your responses in the comments section below. If you are interested in a deeper discussion around core competencies and distinctive organizational capabilities, take a look at our frameworks on this management topic, which we have linked to in the description. Furthermore, in the video description below, we have included links to frameworks on all the key management concepts discussed in this video. If you are interested in becoming an expert on strategy, take a look at our offering called the Strategy Development Stream. This is a collection of over 65 best practice frameworks covering all aspects and phases of strategy. Our frameworks are based on the thought leadership of leading consulting firms, academics, and recognized subject matter experts. Links to our relevant offerings are in the description. For effective strategy development and strategic planning, we must master both strategy and tactics. Our frameworks cover all phases of strategy, from strategy design and formulation to strategy deployment and execution, as well as all levels of strategy, from corporate strategy to business strategy to tactical strategy. Many of these methodologies are authored by global strategy consulting firms and have been successfully implemented at their Fortune 100 client organizations. We have included links to all frameworks referenced in this video in the video description. If you have any questions, please leave them as comments below. If you enjoy these types of videos on business frameworks, methodologies, and management models, then be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Also, check out Flevy.com directly for thousands of best practice business frameworks and tools. We regularly publish videos like this one across a multitude of strategic management topics, from competitive advantage to blue ocean strategy to capabilities-driven strategy.